Hey guys, this is Rukhshona
And this is Firuz.
from Inside Realty, and today we want to talk about the market. What's happening on the market, lots of rumors, let's talk about some cases, some interesting stories, and I think we can just start with a little bit about your background because you recently joined us. I mean, obviously we've been colleagues for a while. That's actually one of the reasons that I wanted to speak to you, because I know that you've been on the market for pretty much as long as I have, and we've seen all the ups and downs, and this is something that I want to talk to you about today. Let's start with your background. Just tell our viewers what have you done before, and just share something.
Well, I actually moved to Dubai about 10 years ago, and all this time I've been in real estate industry. I worked for a developer as well as for real estate companies, and now I'm with the best company in the market with Inside.
Absolutely. Now, tell us about your experience between working for a developer and working as a broker. What's the main difference, and why did you decide to leave Ellington? It was, right?
Well, I guess the main difference between being, let's say, a developer's representative and being a broker is that when you work for a developer, you need to communicate a lot with brokers, make friends with brokers, because 95 to 99% of business are being delivered by brokers. While when you're a broker, you're actually in full control of the client, and you have much more to offer to the client rather than working for one particular developer. Obviously, Ellington was one of my favorite jobs, and it's a company with a fantastic reputation, and we've done a lot, and they're doing a lot right now. However, their portfolio was very limited at that time. We were mainly focused in JVC, in Meydan. We had only 2 projects in downtown, few projects on the Palm, and few in Emirates Hills. That's about it.
So the key takeaway is working for...
The key takeaway is money, Firuz. Being a broker, you can make much more money than working for a developer.
Well, I share a similar story, right? Because before I joined a brokerage, I mean, I have a broker experience, but one of the last developers that I worked for was Damak. And it was a same story for me. I felt limited, even though Damak has stock all across the city and pretty much everything to offer to people, but it was back in 2019, and the market was still, I wouldn't even call it stagnant, because it was a market during the correction. I'm sure you know. I had to compete with the product from the same developer, and sometimes, you know, the worst thing is that you could have clients that come to you, you could pitch them the idea of that project, you could make them fall in love with that project.
But then the broker?
then a broker would find them something on secondary market and sell them, you know? So I would lose a lot of clients that way. And that's the reason why I decided to go into a brokerage, and I think it was the best decision I've ever made.
Just like me, you started your career in real estate working for a developer first, and then joining a brokerage.
Yes, I started my career working for a very interesting developer. It's a company that sells hotel investments. And
I always thought they are scammers, to be honest. Is it so?
I wouldn't call them scammers. I would just say that...
By the way, I guess we will talk about scammers in real estate industry as well during this podcast.
I mean, this is one of the reasons that we are doing this right now, but I think maybe due to some rules and regulations, I wouldn't blatantly just go ahead and call somebody scammers, especially if it's a legitimate company operating within the boundaries of the UAE law. However, the product that we were selling was way overpriced according to what the market was selling back then, and our job was not to sell directly, but it was to attract investors to come here on like a 3-4 day tour to look at the particular projects that this developer was selling, and to basically invest. Just because the cost of operating a hotel is usually very high, also just because the entry price was high, the investors ended up getting way less money that they were initially promised. So that was not and a profitable investment, and it was an asset that you could not liquidate either because nobody else would want to buy it, right? Because when you buy something, you need to understand who your next buyer is going to be.
Firuz, actually, my former boss, Eli Naman, who is one of shareholders in Ellington, if I'm not mistaken, he had a similar let's say, fact in his biography. He was selling same product. I guess this is
well, a lot of people who are
something which helps a person to become really good in sales.
Well, we had a rigorous sales training, and for me, as a company, I think it was the best company to work for from an organizational perspective, because each and every little process was taken care of. You knew that every last Thursday of the month you're going to be paid. You know exactly how much you're going to be paid, and you get good commission because the commission structure is very well thought out in a company. Just because obviously the price is inflated and everybody has their piece of the pie within that price, basically.
Talking about salaries, by the way, when I moved to Dubai, and it was back in 2015. So if you work for a developer, you get a basic salary, and then you get commission. I wasn't aware much because I didn't read my contract thoroughly before signing it. So I thought that I will be receiving a salary, which I was very happy about. And then when I found out that I can earn more by selling more and receiving commission, I almost started to cry because I couldn't believe.
So you thought you're just going to come and receive basic salary?
That's what I thought back then, yeah.
I see.
So my colleague, when he mentioned, sky's the limit, actually, you can make much more than just your salary. Who cares about salary anyway? I started to cry. I thought I'm the luckiest person in the world. And I felt that way, I was talking to, let's say, celebrities, and I was thinking that I'm the same level. I'm making a lot of money. Because I was a lot of money back in 2015.
I think I could never go to a salaried job, and
Me
that
neither,
started.
but that's now.
When I received my first commission check, I realized that I'm not going back to a salaried job anymore. Even if somebody offers me 100,000 dirhams, 200,000 dirhams a month, I would never consider it, because when you start making real money as a broker, that's when you realize that sky's the limit.
I totally agree with you, but at the same time, Firuz, let's be honest. And if in today's podcast we're discussing about myth of real estate industry, we should say that not all brokers are millionaires, billionaires, as they present themselves in their Instagram blogs, in YouTube. Are you a millionaire yourself?
Depends, actually.
In Kazakhstan, maybe. As per Kazakhstani currency.
Well, if you look at the assets and if you look at the general income, I think, I don't know.
So you are...
all I'm trying to say is the reason I would never go back to a salaried job is because you are limited. You are stuck to a chair, and this is not a job for somebody who wants to be stuck to a chair. It's not a job for somebody who wants to work from 8 to 5 or 10 to 7. It's a job for somebody who considers themselves as a small business within a business. This is what I preach to all our agents, to everybody that I've known before, that you have to be the CEO of you. You have to manage your own time. When people come to an interview and they ask me, what are your working hours? What is my question to them? What are your working hours? Because you have to manage your own time. I'm not here to tell you what to do and how, I'm not here to tell you how long you should work. You should know that for yourself, basically.
I agree with you. Most of the times you're there when we interview brokers to our company. And I would like to ask you a question. I mean, can you say straight away by looking at the broker or chatting with him for 2 to 5 minutes whether he'll be successful or not in this industry?
I think you have that sort of a gut feeling because what really helps people to become successful, a lot of successful people that I've seen in my career, throughout my career so far, they have that energy. And
Okay.
that energy is felt immediately when you start speaking to them. They could have no experience, they could have no real estate background, but you know that they have that hunger for learning, for consuming information, and they have that passion for helping people make better choices and better decisions. So I would say yes, I can tell when somebody will succeed, but of course you cannot be right 100% of the time.
Most of the times you are right. However, we did have cases in the past when we bet on a particular person and we probably thought that he would be very successful, but it didn't work out. There are always different reasons why it doesn't work out. As per me, for example, lack of persistency is one of them, because you can get very, let's say, motivated, but at the same time very dismotivated. So motivation is something which cannot last for a very long period of time. Therefore, you need to be a very disciplined person by yourself and enjoy doing same thing over and over again.
Yeah, I think when it becomes a lifestyle, when you don't look at it as a job anymore, that's when you really start enjoying it. In Dubai, we mostly work with, I don't know, in my own experience, we rarely tend to work with end users. Most of my buyers are investors. And when you start delivering results, when your clients start making money, and when you start taking pride and joy in the fact that your clients are actually earning money, I think this is, for me at least, this is what motivates me to keep doing it, because every time our clients make money, we make money too.
Another thing I would like to discuss actually about brokers, which become very successful in this industry, or let's put it that way, they start closing deals, and within a short period of time, I hear often them telling me, Rukhshona, I don't want to close studios anymore, I don't want to sell one bedrooms anymore, I want to deal only with luxury property. I want to sell buildings, I want to sell plots. Please don't send me leads for studios, don't send me leads for one bedrooms. I mean, I've been working in this industry for the last 10 years, and I never allow myself saying no to the client who wants to buy a studio. In my opinion, this is when let's say the decrease. This is the first sign of failure.
I do not agree with you completely on this, because when you are just entering this job, you don't have enough experience, and you're trying to learn and you're trying to work with everybody and everything. But this is something I wanted to mention today, is when you start becoming a real professional, I think you need to pay attention to how much time and how much energy you give into people. So at this point of my career, I believe that I am able to choose the clients that I can work with, because my time is valuable and I don't want to give it to somebody who does not appreciate the time. So I think when you look at it from that perspective, when your mindset is that you don't want to sell, I don't divide clients into smaller or larger budgets. I still work with people, even though I have to run a company with 25 agents. I still can assist the client who wants to buy a studio. I don't mind doing that at all, but I would prefer people to work with who appreciate my time and who appreciate my expertise, because I know that I can give them value. I know that my advice is going to get them exactly what they want, whether it's a return on investment, whether it's the right house for them, or something like that.
One of the things I love about real estate is that you never get bored. First of all, always something new coming up, something interesting. The market changes, brokers change, developers representative change. You see ups and downs of each and every individual. But at the same time, people whom you meet They really surprise you. Sometimes they shock you. I swear, almost every month I tell myself that nothing can shock me anymore in this industry. And exactly when I say, it's like a mantra, exactly when I say this
Something like
phrase,
this
something
happens.
more shocking happens. So let's talk about funny cases in your career, and then maybe I can share about my stories as well. I know you like my stories.
Your stories are the craziest usually, so I think we want to hear more of those. Funny cases, I mean, there's a lot of funny cases. The funniest thing I've had is when I had to translate from English to English. I have a client, he's from Birmingham. I took him to District 1, and a lady that used to work there, she's an Arab, and obviously, I mean, she speaks good English. It's just that, you know, his English is even worse. Although he is English, it was very difficult to understand him. So I had to sit there between two people, and I had to translate from his English to her English, and from her English to his English.
I understand, because we have Matthew working for Inside. He's I would say the only Englishman we've got, and we do have issues sometimes understanding him, though it's his language actually, and which I remind everyone. When I look back, it looks very funny, the story which happened to me back then, but at that time it was so upsetting and so sad. We had a stand in Dubai Mall with Emar, and I met very nice gentlemen. There were two friends from Germany, and they were interested in property somewhere on the Palm. They really liked Palm Jumeirah, and they were looking for a 4-bedroom or 5-bedroom apartment or a penthouse. So immediately I started doing my own research, and I started offering them different projects. We had plenty of viewings, and finally we end up in Serenia by Palma Holding. They had a beautiful penthouse on the top, and we went there. So
I remember that penthouse. It was
yeah,
beautiful.
it was really
I have
beautiful.
a story to tell you about that penthouse too, but go on.
So the viewing starts, and I start explaining them about the property. We check the amenities, and eventually they say that they like everything, and they don't have any more questions or objections, and basically what's the price and where they should sign. And after Russ, he was developer's representative at that time, announces the price, they get really shocked. They were like, what? For a
It was
rent?
like 53 million, I think.
So for a rent, and that was the point when I realized that they were actually looking for rent and not to buy. I went back, I checked my Bitrix CRM system. I listened to all audio conversations I had with them. I checked all the WhatsApp conversations, and I realized that I asked them all the questions besides the main one. Are they looking to rent or to buy?
Looking to buy? I think it talks a lot about, being able to qualify clients properly. This is what I talk about a lot during our training sessions with our agents, asking the right questions, because some people are asking just the most ridiculous questions, and they don't ask the right questions at all.
Oh my God,
the worst question that I hate agents asking is, are you looking for yourself? What does that even mean? What does it mean? Are you looking for yourself? Like, we are all lost, I think. Everybody's looking for themselves or their life purpose. But I mean, crazy questions.
For yourself or for investment, yeah.
Or are you looking for yourself or are you looking for investment? Like, every single purchase of real estate, in my opinion, is an investment. Regardless of whether you're going to live in that house, whether you're going to use it as a holiday home.
I agree with you.
At the end of the day, you're going to park your money somewhere, and you are going to beat inflation by buying real estate, especially if you buy in Dubai, if you're smart. But with Serenia, I actually also have a very similar story. When I just joined a big brokerage company, one of the last ones that I worked for, I guess
that's the brokerage company where you and I were colleagues together. Very good times we had.
Yes, I got a lead, and it was a guy who wanted a penthouse. He's like, I want a penthouse, the best possible penthouse that you could find. I said, okay. It was me and a friend, a colleague as well. We were working on this together, and we started looking for penthouses. And at the time, you could buy, and it was like 2019, just before. It was just when COVID was starting, basically, and you had so many crazy offers on the market. Like everything was within your reach. You could buy EMAR with 5-year payment plans and service charge waivers. You had all these ready apartments on the Palm. You had Serenia Living, the same building where they had
not living, just Serenia.
Just Serenia. Okay, sorry. You had Serenia with that beautiful penthouse, and we went there. We took a video. We showed him W. We showed him Palm Couture, I think, and then he was like, "Yes, Serenia. This is what I want. Like this is this is perfect." We were like, "Okay, great." He's like, "Yes, I just want to buy it. Tell me where to send the money." We were like, "Don't you just like want to maybe negotiate the price or something?" He's like, "Okay, yeah, if you can do that for me, that's good. I'll even, show you some appreciation in a form, like I'll even pay you if you could negotiate the price down for me." And at the time it was 53 million. And it was just like my first week starting up at that company, and I already spent all that money because it was like, I don't know, maybe around 2 million dirhams commission. So in my head, I already spent all that money. And the guy, we've seen him on video, he looked like a decent person. He looked like he represented wealth, he was in a big house, he had a nice car, and he was like, yeah, I'm just gonna send the money. And then something was telling me that something is not right,
You always have that
You always have
feeling.
that little gut feeling that you're not sure.
Too good to be true.
Yes, because for me it was too good to be true. It was my first week, and I'm like, I'm gonna earn 2 million dirhams now, and I already had all these crazy things that I wanted to buy. And then the second day, like the next day, he doesn't send the money. Immediately I started feeling that something is wrong. So I asked him, what is wrong? He's like, oh, something is wrong with my bank in Switzerland. I'm trying to send the money now from Moscow. Back then you could still send direct wire transfers without any issues from Moscow. So he's like, yes, good times. So he's like, I'm going to send money from Moscow now. So we were waiting for him to send the money from Moscow. Nothing happened again. And I'm like, dude, okay, now we have to like either, close this deal or do something. And he's like, all right, I'm just going to come there myself and I'm going to finalize everything. I said, okay, where are you going to stay? And he's like, Sharm el-Sheikh.
Oh my God.
Man, I was devastated. Maybe like I couldn't work for a week probably because I already like all my energy went into that deal. I was already thinking that like first week in the game in that company, and I'm gonna get 2 million dirhams commission. But yes, unfortunately, there's a lot of crazy people.
This is what career, you find out in your first year.
When you start dealing with people, when you start making an enormous amount of calls, when you start calling people from all parts of the globe, you start realizing that there's a lot of crazy people.
Indeed.
Have you
How does it work? I mean, I still think, what bothers me, this question I ask myself very often. How does it work? Is it just that one day you wake up somewhere
Let me call some real estate agents in Dubai
and pretend I'm a rich man who wants to buy Burj Khalifa or Creek Tower.
Honestly,
how does it work?
And some of them, they play it so well. They know the right questions to ask you.
Firuz, I had a client. How many such clients I had. I don't know why it was happening to me all the time, but everything has its reason, because now it takes me exactly 30 seconds to understand whether the client is a psycho or not. But back then, in 2019, I had a client who was looking to buy a villa in District 1. And she wanted a specific type, Mediterranean type. And I swear, she knew each and every detail about the entire community. She knew exactly what she was looking for. She knew how many such villas are available for sale from the developer, how many are those for sale in the secondary market. She talked to each and every agent, and then she puts it in such a way that it makes you feel good, meaning, Rukhshona, I spoke with agents from this company and that company, but you're very professional, your ego feels very good about it. I decided to work with you. and plenty of other good things. And then you wait and wait because nothing moves on, nothing happens. She doesn't send her passport saying that it's been expired and she's waiting for the new passport. She doesn't send money because her money got blocked in trustee somewhere in Malaysia. And then, all this lasted for, I guess, about 6 months with me personally.
6 months.
Until I realized that she's not well.
She was in touch with you all this time.
She was in touch with me all this time. She made me go every week to District 1. She made me do videos of each and every villa. She made me negotiate with the developer without a passport and
those
without
crazy
money.
times when you had the villa sitting in District 1 for 6 months.
Yes,
Like-
actually. And then I just gave up on her. I realized that she's just a psycho. After 2 or 3 years, I get a call from another colleague of mine who works for another company, a real estate company. And because of that client, thanks to her, by the way, I became an expert in District 1. I learned everything about those villas and residential buildings. So some of my friends in the same industry, they started calling me and asking for my advice. And I hear the same story. And I was like, wait a second. Is your client's name? And I mentioned her name, which means that she's been doing it for years with different brokers. And I don't know why till now this question bothers
Honestly,
me.
it bothers me so much. I really don't understand why some people think that they can just wake up on one sweet morning and then send their number or register on a website and then
Yes.
just terrorize realtors. I don't know, maybe I think it's karma for some of the real estate agents, because as a profession, let's face it, just because there's a lot of people who are not operating with a certain level of integrity.
I agree, yeah.
The profession of a real estate agent, very unfortunately, people think that we are on the same level with, sleazy car salespeople. That's what people think about realtors. And unfortunately, just because you have, especially when it's a booming market, when you have high competition, everybody wants to make a quick buck. Everyone wants to just, sell, make some commission. Everybody thinks that being a real estate agent, you can become a millionaire, you can make a crazy amount of money in the shortest amount of time possible. And I have no idea why people still fall for these traps, especially clients, people that buy, because we get inquiries on daily basis.
Yeah.
People asking us to help them sell their investments, to help them exit their investments at loss most of the time, because they have been promised. How can you buy somebody telling you that you can invest 20% and you can sell in 2 months and make 100% on your investment? There is so much data available on the market today. Dubai real estate market has become so transparent. You could actually log into DLD website and you can see each and every transaction that has happened since the beginning of time. You could monitor all of that. With all that data available for you, how can you listen to somebody who tells you that if you invest 20% and sell in 2 months, you can make 100% return investment?
But
That's
that
just
still
crazy.
happens a lot.
It still happens a lot, and I don't understand why. Please, people, if you are promised something like this, just run away from your agent. Never, ever, ever go for anything like this, because it's just simply not true. Real estate is a long-term game. There's a developer, this is a funny story, by the way, there's a developer that is known for delaying projects.
Let's not
There's a lot of developers,
mention the names.
We're not going to mention any names, but there's a developer that is known for delaying projects, and their tagline is, don't wait to buy real estate and wait.
Oh my God.
which is from a it's just a saying that people use in real estate.
Yeah.
You have to buy real estate, and if you really want to play the game
But
right,
how true it is about
you play it right, and you buy real estate and you wait. but it was just funny because I was exiting a community, and this was just the tagline over there: that don't wait to buy real estate, buy real estate and wait. I was like, hell yeah, that's what people do when they buy real estate from you.
Firuz, talking about delays, why do they actually happen in Dubai?
Construction delays actually happen everywhere. I think it comes down to managing people's expectations. Mm-hmm. When you are a smart investor, you know that there's a lot of things, because construction is a complicated process. It involves a lot of different processes, and it's not just the developer that is involved, right? The developer is pretty much not actually involved in the construction. They only check the quality. They hire contractors independently. They have consultants. They have different vendors. And there's a lot of different things that a construction process involves. So I advise all my clients to just blindly add another year at least to the proposed construction handover date. That sets the right expectations, because if you're expecting your property to be delivered in Q5 2026 and it gets delivered a year later, then for that year you're going to be stressed. But if you're expecting it to be delivered in 2027, obviously all that stress fades away, and some of the developers now are actually doing a really good job in terms of their delivery times. But sometimes you could have your plot could have water, so dewatering the plot is actually going to take a lot of time. There's a lot of different things
that are involved. The snagging process itself takes a lot of time.
The handover process itself takes a lot of time because there's a lot of inspections that happen. You have the Dubai Civil Defense, you have the connection of all the utilities, DIBA, internet. All of that is at least 3 months on its own. In fact, one of my clients just today received a notice from Select Group saying that they are going to
delay their project.
They're going to delay Peninsula. It was supposed to be September 24. Now their new proposed date is March 25, and the clause in the contract says that they can delay without cause for 18 months. And this is an actual clause in their contract. So this is
what
something...
What can be done in this case?
You cannot avoid this. First of all, it is a clause in your contract that you've signed up. So the developer has the right to delay for 18 months because you've signed on this. What can be done is, first of all, you could totally check your SPA
before signing
it. What could also be done is, if it's more than the time of that grace period that the developer is allowed to delay the project, obviously you could sue the developer and you can ask for compensation. And I've seen cases where people have actually
but not
gained
many,
compensation.
Especially when it comes to foreign investors, Firuz, it's really complicated. I mean, they don't have experience in Dubai. They don't know which lawyers to talk to, what is the process itself, and if the broker is not very helpful, they're basically left alone.
And most of the times the brokers are not very helpful.
Yes, and they are leaving them alone in these cases. And this is what ruins the image of Dubai abroad, which I'm very unhappy with, because actually speaking, Dubai offers one of the best numbers if we talk about ROI, if we talk about capital appreciation, if we talk about potential in general, safety, security, so much this beautiful city can offer to foreign investors.
Let's talk about, if we're talking about numbers, let's talk about the construction progress as well. I think Dubai has done tremendous job in terms of regulating delivery timings in terms of construction.
Yes.
You now have an application where you could track the progress of the construction of each and every project. The DLD sends an inspection every quarter. You could, I don't know any country in the world where you could actually type in each and every project, look at its escrow account, verify all the details, and then go ahead and make the purchase. Also, I've seen some developers now, and this is something that fascinated me, they put a camera on their construction and they have a live feed from construction that you can open through a link on YouTube. Any point of time, you can see what's going on with the construction of that particular project.
Let's give credit to Ellington, because they've been doing it since 2014, actually, with all their projects.
Wonderful. That's amazing. Yes, that speaks about the developer's commitment to delivering projects on time, but also at the same time, developers are I think the developer is the first entity that is interested to deliver the project on time, because they have a lot of money tied up on their escrow account and they want to receive that money. So I don't think a developer just one day decides
that he will delay
the project. I think it happens due to a lot of different reasons. Unfortunately, sometimes we cannot avoid this. So the best course of action is to be patient, but the best thing to do when you try and choose a project is to make sure that you're buying from a reputable developer that has very good track record in terms of delivering the properties on time. And I think before you start looking for a project, you need to
check the reputation of the developer.
I think before you start looking for a project, you need to find your right broker first. I think you need to interview some people, ask them the set of questions that would make you assured that these are the right people to work with, because finding the right broker is going to change your whole experience in investments. Right now, during my first interactions with clients, I do sort of an interview because I also want to understand whether I want to work with that person or not. Whether that person is going to stay loyal to me, whether that person is going to trust me that I'm representing their best interests, because if you are a professional broker, that's what you should do. You should always represent your client's best interests above yours and above anybody else's.
Considering the fact that when it comes to good projects, which we always prefer to sell, we don't have lack of clients, we have lack of units, and therefore we can't choose who to deal with.
Nowadays, developers want to collect EOIs before they even give you a whiff of any kinds of information. So people need to send money first without even seeing floor plans, without even seeing anything. Because if you don't do that, then you don't get a unit. But people who live abroad, they don't understand that. And obviously, sometimes they miss out on good opportunities just because they cannot get any information. And I can understand that. It's actually very, very difficult to explain that to people, that this is how, unfortunately, the market works today.
Not only today, even 2 years ago, when there was a project being launched on the Palm Jumeirah, it was a good project, obviously, and the demand was high. But I ended up trying to convince my clients to invest in that project, having just someone's drawing on a piece of paper. It was the drawing of layout and floor plans of the project. Obviously, it's almost impossible to convince a client, sending an EOI of at least $3-4 million by having that piece of drawing in your hands.
Well, this is what we have to deal with.
I guess
it is what it is. This is the reality of the market. Again, it was very nice to come into any office of any developer and then get all these beautiful presentations. But unfortunately, this is the reality today. And this is why it is crucial to also understanding who you work with, right? In terms of the buyers, because some of the buyers, they want to take their time, which is fine. And you need to ask the right sets of questions to understand when are they going to make a decision, because you cannot just
go through all that hell.
In fact, I feel that some people think they're entitled to information. Some people think that they can just go online, they can ask brokers for any kinds of information that they want, and then not to respond them. That is something I hate.
And that happens very often.
It happens very often. Please don't do this, guys, if you're watching this, because it's just not cool. It's just rude, in my opinion. And people are not entitled, especially if you're dealing with professionals. Even if you're not interested, just say it, and that's it, so that the person is not going to waste time dealing with you. And this is something that happens quite often.
Firuz, though you're a very experienced broker, and as you mentioned earlier, you're in the market for the last 10 years, you're doing extremely well. I'm very proud working with you, but you're a human being after all, and obviously we all make mistakes. What kind of mistakes did you personally make in your real estate career?
Mistakes in what sense?
Mistakes in any sense. For example, I had a case a few years ago. I convinced a client to invest in Dubai Creek Harbor, specifically in Vida by Emaar. And I offered him a beautiful 2-bedroom apartment facing Burj Khalifa. Everything was great. He signed the booking form and he was about to sign SPA. And then I received a message asking whether this particular unit actually has a view to Burj Khalifa. I wake up. It was early morning. I start looking at the floor plans again, and as per the floor plans, it does have a view to Burj Khalifa. At that time, I was living in Dubai Creek Harbor myself, so I actually walked towards the project, and then I realized that I forgot that just in front of the building there will be a hotel, and I chose the unit which is on the 8th floor, which means that he will not be having a view to Burj Khalifa, but instead he will be having a view to another building. And since then I started coloring my hair because the gray hairs which I have, they were there from those times. It actually made me go through hell trying to convince Emaar forgiving me because that was my mistake and allowing me to choose another unit. But in that particular project, they didn't have any other options available, so I convinced the client to reinvest in Creek Rise instead. Thanks God, he was a very, very understanding client. Hello to him. Because if I was on his place, I would never ever deal with such a broker again, because that was such a, let's say, it was a huge mistake from my side. It was very unprofessional. Do you have cases like that? I mean, I can talk more about my failures, but just wanna.
Well, I'm usually very thorough when it comes to, especially looking at floor plans, trying to choose views, because obviously, now I remember a mistake. I'm gonna tell you about this. So I was selling Address JBR.
Okay.
And at the time they had a payment plan, 15% down payment, 85% on handover. And it was close to handover already. It was pretty much already built. And I had a viewing there with a gentleman who liked a 2-bedroom apartment. And the payment plan that I quoted was 15% down payment, 85% on handover, obviously. And then while we were dragging on negotiating about certain things, obviously everything was non-negotiable, but we were just dragging on trying to choose a unit. The unit was chosen. I got an EOI for the unit, and then I realized that the payment plan has been updated to 3070. And the developer, Alain Holding, was very strict. They were not signing even booking forms unless the client actually paid the 30% down payment plus the DLD. But I really wanted that sale, so I couldn't tell the client that the payment plan has been changed. I did tell him that, but he's like, no, this is what you told me, 1585, and I'm only paying 15%. I was like, okay, pay the 15%.
Oh my God.
I was like, okay, pay the 15% and then we'll manage, basically. So I got the client to pay 15%, got the unit locked, but obviously the developer was not providing any documents, and the client didn't want to pay the remaining 15%. So I had to balance between the client and the developer, because from one side, the client was chasing me for papers. On the other side, the developer was chasing me for the payment. And then when it came closer to the completion, and I was so stressed out about it, every time the guy would call me, I'd be so stressed, and it was already about to be handed over. So I told him, look, you have to pay this amount anyway, right? Because you're going to be paying 100% to receive the keys. And if you don't pay it, obviously it's going to delay. The longer you delay the payment, the longer it's going to delay the property registration, the longer it's going to delay the handover of the keys. Finally, I managed to somehow convince him to make that payment. And then when his assistant called me and said, hey, where do I deliver the checks? It was such a
best day of
relief
your
for me.
life.
It was such a relief for me because I was stressed for almost 4 months, I think,
Oh my
dragging
God.
this whole thing. And he got the check he delivered to me, and then we just like finalized everything. I was so happy. Let's talk about new launches, especially knowing your success rate with these launches is very high. Maybe you can share your secret.
You know what? My secret is that I used to do sports for 12 years, and I have a black belt in Taekwondo.
Okay.
I never knew it will help me this
Do
way.
you like hit people and fight with them during launches?
You got to do that as well sometimes, but I guess you need to have strong survival skills, because sometimes at those launches, what happens is that you have to wait the whole night in the queue, not knowing from where exactly the gate will be open.
By the way, I hate developers that make people queue overnight. I think that is just so barbaric. I don't think people, especially people who are buying properties worth at least $500,000 or more, should stay in queue overnight because we live in a technology age, and there are developers that manage all of this processes very well. Developers like Aldar, developers like Miraz, they have a proper system and they don't do all of this. I think this is created more to, to show maybe people overseas that there's a huge craze, but I don't think you should be doing that to people.
When I was sharing those videos to my mom, she was asking me whether those apartments are
being given away for free. Yes.
And she was very surprised when I told her no, and those are actually very expensive apartments. But yes, what happens is that sometimes you have to queue. You have to stand for 12 to 24 hours, depending how much you want to sell, actually. And sometimes it happens during the summer when the temperature is extremely high. And some people faint, I must admit, and some people cry. I've seen a lot during these launches, but yeah, I guess.
Like the last launch of Palm Jumeirah was insane.
Crazy.
There were videos where people are just like trying to step on each other's heads.
And so many times emergency was called, and
police has to be called sometimes to just like manage the crowd. I don't think this practice needs to be discontinued, in my opinion.
But I remember myself jumping over the fence with my Chanel bag, running.
I remember I've seen those videos. Yes.
Yeah, it was crazy. But I got lucky. I managed to sell. But at least this is something you're in control of. Though it might look barbarian to Firuz, but when it comes to developers which are basically giving tokens or similar to lottery, then everything depends on your luck and on the luck of your investor. While here, at least you can do something.
You can do something if the stronger will survive, right?
That's one of the reasons why I go to gym, by the way, 3 or 4 times a week.
So if you want to be a successful real estate agent, you have to be strong and work out physically?
In my opinion, yes. It wouldn't harm at all.
All right.
Whether you're a real estate broker or not, I think sport is a good thing to do.
Do you have any other advice especially for brokers who are just starting out?
To be persistent, to be enthusiastic, try to learn as much as they can, and try to enjoy what they're doing.
Now, let's talk about enjoying what they're doing, and maybe let's talk about professionalism. What is a professional broker to you? What qualities should you have to be called a professional broker?
He should be knowledgeable.
Or she?
He or she, obviously. A broker should be knowledgeable. He should know how to use data. At the same time, he should always protect clients' interests. So he should be driven by the fact, not by the goal to sell, but by the goal. His goal should be basically to protect clients' interests and to think of clients' goals. He should achieve clients' goals, not his own goals.
Do you see any red flags, or what are the red flags that people should pay attention to when trying to find a broker?
Can I address that question to you?
What are the red flags?
What are the red flags, Firuz? of unprofessional broker.
A red flag, in my opinion, is when people are too pushy, and when they're telling you that this is the only unit left, and you have to make a decision in 24 hours
When they
or
create,
less.
when a broker creates,
Creating urgency is not wrong. In today's market, you don't really have to create urgency.
because it's there.
Because it's there just naturally, you know, there is urgency, especially if we're talking about good opportunities. But sometimes I hear from clients that people are just telling them that this is the only unit left. This is like so old school. What I tell my clients is that there's always something to buy. If you actually have an intention to make a right investment, don't worry if you lose a certain opportunity, because there will be another one, and I strive to find opportunities on a daily basis. We in the team always discuss different projects being launched, and I'm sure at the end of the day it's all about the strategy. And if you have the right strategy, you are always going to be successful in your investment, even though you could lose a particular project. So don't worry about not being able to get a certain apartment. In fact, what I do is I always try to set the right expectations, because with projects that are difficult to buy, sometimes if you don't get it, then you just like lose all your intentions and you don't want to buy anymore. But that's you shouldn't be doing that. You should just instead of looking at one project, just try and look at 3, and then you can get at least one in any of them.
And let's be honest, not all the projects which are being sold at the same time they were launched, show wonderful numbers in the future.
100%.
It doesn't necessarily mean that it will become a very successful project.
Yes, that is true. In fact, I don't think people should be running
where everybody else
is going. Sometimes there are projects that I call them hidden gems, because they're undervalued. Exactly. Let's talk about Royal Atlantis. Let's talk about Bulgari. And in fact, even myself in 2017, the first time when I went there, it was just like a showroom on the Palm, and it was a nice presentation, a very beautiful model. But when I found out that an apartment, a 2-bedroom, cost 7 million, I was like, are you guys crazy? Who's going to buy a 2-bedroom for 7 million on the Palm? Because at the time you could buy a lot of different things. But now, guess what? They're selling for 15 at least. So whoever purchased have doubled their money. So I think it is understanding what your goals are, because if your goal is to buy and then flip at some point, you need to know who your next buyer is going to be. Sometimes brokers promise you thousands of % of returns, but just ask them, who are you going to sell this to? How are you going to sell this? Because I take responsibility when I'm offering somebody returns. I take all the responsibility, because I have to be the one to deliver this. And all we work at in the company now is building up these strategies just so that we can get these new buyers to buy these properties. So we choose the properties right, but then we also make sure that we do our marketing in a way that we can attract these new buyers. And we need to understand the profile of the new buyer before we end up choosing a certain property.
Yeah, I agree with you. Talking about Royal Atlantis, I mean, I need to mention this story from my experience. And so I have a very nice investor from abroad. He invested with me in La Vie by Dubai Properties back in 2019. And he's quite happy with his investments. However, I offered him Royal Atlantis at that time. I offered him Bulgari as well. I offered him Medina Jumeirah Living and Port de la Mer. He didn't believe in those projects. I mean, and I remember telling him back in 2019 and 2020, when I offered him Royal Atlantis and Bulgari, that he will regret, because this is a hidden gem, and this is something which will at least double in price. So he comes to Dubai about a year ago, and he already understood that, let's say, my forecast came true. And I offer him another project, and I tell him exactly the same thing, that this is something which will, minimum will appreciate double, and again he doesn't invest. What do I do, Firuz?
Well, at least you can show them the examples, but they've seen them. I think there's nothing you could pretty much do. Some people just, I don't know. I've been telling people back in 2020 to invest in many different projects. They didn't listen, and now they regret it. But there's nothing you can do about it, right? You cannot turn back time. What are the top 3 projects to invest in Dubai today?
In my opinion, Bentley Villas by Mirror Developments, Kempinski in Dubai Marina, and Six Senses by Select Group. Guys, if you want to know why, you can always message or call me and I will explain.
I'm actually very surprised why Six Senses hasn't been sold on the first day of the launch, because especially the half-floor 4-bedroom apartments, I think are a steal. You don't really have branded residences, you don't have that kind of lifestyle in Dubai Marina or in Dubai for that matter, and the prices, especially prices per square foot, are much lower than any competition around there. So if you're a smart investor, buy Six Senses 4-bedroom apartment, let me know, and I'll get you the best unit.
Firuz, let's talk about scammers. How do people get scammed in Dubai, in real estate industry?
Well, one way people get scammed is sometimes if they don't have a local bank account and they need a manager's check for a transaction. There's lots of people who are dishonest, and people are paying in cash and they're getting these manager's checks. Unfortunately, some of these checks are ending up being not real. So this is how some people get scammed. Also, I don't know if you could call it a scam, but we had a case recently where a lady came into us and asked us to sell her apartment. She bought a 1-bedroom unit in Nautica by Select Group, and it was the only unit that faces the backside. So it was the only unit in the building without a view, and she was promised she was promised for this unit to be sold in 2 months. She only paid 20% down payment, and she didn't have any money to continue the payments, and now she obviously wants to sell. Most probably she will have to sell at loss if she wants to do it quickly and avoid getting her unit cancelled by the developer. How do people lose money by investing in real estate in UAE?
In most of cases, they're being misled by brokers or developers' representatives because they don't do their own due diligence, they don't do their own homework. Unfortunately, it does happen, and it always upsets me. Also, sometimes they lose money because they're very impatient, so they sell at the wrong time, and they invest generally in wrong projects.
How do you define an unworthy investment?
Well, an unworthy investment is something which doesn't stand out, something which is not unique, because the competition in the market is extremely high. And a good investment should be in the project which it really stands out in terms of quality, in terms of location, in terms of developer itself, brand. So it has to be something which only you have. Something limited.
So just basic supply and demand.
Exactly.
All right.
Not a rocket science, Firuz.
So to wrap this up, I think if we're talking about brokers and brokers' behavior, I wanted to maybe talk about my experience being on 2 different sides, right? Being a broker and then owning a company and trying to help brokers. This is what I've been doing. Even when I was, part of a team, I always wanted to give as much knowledge as I have to my colleagues, just to make sure that my peers also grow with me. I think this is something any broker should be doing, especially if you have a lot of knowledge, a lot of experience. If you're part of a company, if you're part of a team, you should share, because when people around you grow, that makes you grow as well, that makes the company grow, and then everybody benefits from this. I don't understand brokers who end up becoming very reluctant to share the success, to share their information, because I don't think you lose when you do that. To be honest, you gain more, because when people start closing deals right now, I'm actually realizing how happy I get when people in that team start performing well and start closing deals. I am as happy as I would be when I would be closing my own deals, because obviously, I mean, they're part of my company.
I'm even happier when a guy in my team closes
deals. Exactly. And let's talk about certain pillars of success that you must have as a broker in order to be successful.
Energy, persistency. You should enjoy what you're doing. Absolutely.
Should you update your CRM?
You should learn how to manage your time and manage your life.
A lot of people don't understand what CRM is for. CRM is to help you manage your own time and to help you manage clients better, because let's be honest, you cannot keep hundreds of people in your head, but the CRM is going to help you build a proper follow-up structure and know exactly when to communicate with each and every client.
And stay updated. I mean, always be ahead of your competition.
A lot of people come into this industry thinking that they're going to start earning millions of dollars immediately, but they don't realize that it is a lot of hard work. Some people, you cannot believe it, they make 5 calls, 10 calls a day, and they think that they've worked so hard. And then I remember myself making 300 or 400 cold calls
a day.
And nowadays we are providing people with leads, real inquiries, people that are really interested to purchase. All you need to do is just basically get your phone and start reaching out and start putting in the work. So in my opinion, to be successful, you need to put in the effort and you need to actually do the work, because a lot of people don't, and they think that money should come to them, but it doesn't work this way. If you want to earn, you need to work hard.
Let's be honest, Firuz, real estate industry is not a rocket science. Everybody can do it. However, it requires certain quality and a lot of persistence. You need to have energy, you need to be enthusiastic, you need to stay updated, and you need to be valuable.
Rukhshona, to wrap this up, you've recently joined us. How did you choose Inside? Why did you choose Inside Realty? And how should brokers approach this matter? How do they choose the company to work for?
Company is made by people. So I chose personally Inside because I share the same principle as the owners of the company. And I guess that would be my advice to brokers. Just choose the company which shares your own principles.
All right. Thank you. Thank you very much. It's a pleasure having you. And I hope we've covered some interesting topics.
And there would be useful information to our investors.
There will be some useful information to our investors, to our peers, to people from the market. If you want to know more about how we operate, you're always welcome to come visit us and speak in more details about all of this. As always, please subscribe, like, and share, and comment maybe questions that you would like us to discuss in our next podcasts.
Bye.